Escapers. I'm Caroline Allison, and I'm here with Craig Newmark. And Craig and I are in Washington, D.C., and we're talking about the inauguration, which is about a week and a half away. And so, Craig, if say hi.
Hey.
Craig, so could you give us some insight in the inauguration and what your plans are for the inauguration?
Well, the inauguration to me is a really big deal because in this case, the inauguration is the symbolic start of something new happening with American government, some serious large-scale grassroots democracy complementing the fairly good system we've had of representative democracy. It also marks the beginning of a lot of repair work in government. There's been 8 years worth of damage, and we got to deal with that. We got to fix the economy, so the inauguration is when this all begins in intensity.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing, Craig. So can you also share with us Web 2.0, being the web-savvy guy that you are, and how that's going to play a role in the political process going forward?
Well, the internet's going to be used to, let's say, enhance democracy and government operations in a whole bunch of ways. The election was won in part by this big networked grassroots movement, and now that's being translated into networked governance in a bunch of different forms. We're going to see a lot of governmental operations made transparent. That is, what the government does and how things work are going to be online, where people can see what happens. For example, the current economic recovery, the legislation will be online where people can see if there's something fishy going on. That would have been great during Iraq or during the first bailout bill, because there's a lot of money that's missing, like $50 billion in Iraq, and who knows how much with financial recovery. We're also going to see areas where people in the millions or maybe tens of millions get involved in discussing online everyday governance in ways where people can vote up the really good ideas, people can vote down the bad ideas and trolling and that kind of stuff. There's other examples too on the most mundane levels with local government or federal government. That is, when you see something that needs work, even if it's a pothole, the idea is that on your phone you might be able to photograph the pothole or other problem, describe what the problem is, transmit it to a website, and then maybe, just maybe, get it fixed. There's a lot of things going on like this. Finally, the whole idea of voluntarism in service. The Obama platform used a metaphor about a Craigslist for service, and while that has nothing to do with Craigslist itself, I'm getting involved with a whole bunch of people talking about how the web could be used for real service, not just full-time career stuff, but also, not just the military or Peace Corps, but how do you volunteer for ongoing efforts? How do you volunteer just to help out clean up a river or a street, and then you're done? There's a lot of ways we're going to see the net being used for governance, for service. We're on the just beginning part of that really happening, and we're going to see a lot starting on January 20th and even on the 19th.
Yeah, of course. So, Craig, could you give me 3 predictions for change that's coming?
Well, there's a lot of areas, including the use of the net for everyday governance, for everyday customer service for government. One thing we've already seen changing throughout the world is that suddenly the reputation of the U.S. is good again. People had still faith in us throughout the world, but the current administration was saying, hey, all that stuff about democracy and the American dream, the Bush administration said, that doesn't mean much anymore. Obama says, hey, that's for real now. We're back doing that. And that's going to have a big change in foreign policy that we're beginning to see now. And that's already showing up in terms of business. People abroad have already said the business climate for Americans overseas has already improved.
Okay, that's great. So that's one. Do you have any others that you can think of that come to mind?
Well, people in American business already seeing that, well, during the Bush years, the way people got ahead in business sometimes was not by competing, not by being in the marketplace, but by getting lobbyists sometimes the shadier ones, to get favored treatment, again, rather than competing. In the Obama environment, that's over. That is no problem with having lobbyists work for you, but there is a problem when they're getting special privileges for you and not competing on a more or less level playing field. With Obama, the level playing field does become level again.
Okay. And final question. So what role are you going to play in the Obama administration, if any?
My role is going to be very, very minor, just like it was in the campaign. I'm talking to people who know stuff, like how to do volunteerism and service. I'm getting them to talk to each other. I'm providing the occasional good idea when it comes to online community organizing. And I'll probably participate in other ways. I'm in the Sunlight Foundation, which is the leading group for online transparency. I'm part of the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, although I've never served in the military, but I'm helping get veterans' matters heard. I'm also involved with Consumers Union, which does consumer reports, pushing for consumer protections, because a lot of consumer protections were destroyed over the last 8 years.
Okay. Okay, well, very interesting. Well, thank you so much, Craig. I really appreciate your time today. It's been very insightful. And we have a lot to look forward to with the upcoming inauguration. Very exciting time to be here in Washington, D.C., and a lot to look forward to over the next few years. Thanks for tuning in.
Well, it's my pleasure. Let's see what trouble I get into.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it, Dan.